There's some, Whitney, there's some feedback coming from somewhere.
Growing up as an army kid and living in the States and Germany and South Korea is how Ashley learned that the only constant in life is change. Now, as an associate for Alpha Omega Wealth, she uses her background and experiences to help others create the financial change they want. Welcome, Ashley.
Hello, hello, ladies. Thank you so much for the introduction, Whitney. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today. I know that there are a bunch of places you all could be at this hour, so it doesn't matter whether you are in New York or you are here in the Valley with us, ladies, here. So I know that there are a lot of things pulling for everybody's time. So, ladies, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. And today's actually going to be a pretty light conversation, but it's the one that we do need to talk about. And just as Whitney mentioned, as we were kind of doing our introductions, your relationships. And so I'm really here to talk about relationships with money. And so really that's one of this, I wouldn't say that it's the most important one, but it is a big one. And a one that unfortunately, a lot of people here, and no, I don't mean here, like here on the call, but I mean just here in general kind of thing. When they hear the word money, when they're talking about money, there really isn't anything positive, or it's more so of like a taboo thing. I come across so many people, obviously, of course, in my industry, where people are like, no, when it came to money, our parents had never really talked about it. And this was never really a constant thing, budgeting or, oh, is that you do that kind of thing every month? So it's not something that we're born with. And so it's not something that, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should know better. Kind of just like Whitney was talking about. Like, you remember this class back in the day, back in school about relationships and dating and healthy relationships. Well, do you guys remember anything about money, how to invest, how to properly, well, there was none of that. And unfortunately, I do believe I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe that it's set up that way for a reason. And so I'm here to do the opposite of that. I'm here to bring education. And so one of the biggest things, guys, and for a lot of you, you probably will also know too, there's also our industry reading, that we have to do, but there's also our personal reading. And one of the books, yes, he is a certified financial planner, but one of the books that I had a chance to read and go over and really like study in depth was a book by John McGregor. He is a certified financial planner. And the book is called, as you guys can see here, The Top 10 Reasons Why the Rich Go Broke. And so it was very empowering, very empowering in the fact that when the cases that he went over inside the book, and no, I'm not getting endorsed, no, I'm not affiliated with the book or anything of that nature, and yes, of course, we are in the same industry, but it wasn't necessarily a financial book per se, or, a book on investing, or a book on insurance, or a book on estate planning or tax strategy. It wasn't anything like that. It was just talking about just every single, everyday people that we meet every single day. And people who come into wealth from whatever form they may be. That's whether they go into business for themselves, that's whether they go into sales, that's whether they become, a professional athlete. People who came from humble beginnings, made their way into wealth and then quickly lost it all, just due to poor habits. Again, like I said, things that we don't learn. And even if we do learn them, it doesn't necessarily become set in stone, if that makes sense. And so I'll just go over just two quotes that really stuck out, that really stuck out to me throughout the reading. There were so many, but one of them comes from page 191, where John talks about, he says here, no one gets out of this life alive, and we don't get to take a single penny with us to the other side. Okay, everything that we create, everything we earn, it stays here. And so for me, and especially when it comes to, obviously, of course, with the cases that we come across, working with clients, obviously, of course, in my industry, people think, well, yeah, well, everything that I'm doing, I have to continue to, I have to continue to work hard, I have to continue to work towards this. And, it was really going through this 2.5 day training I went over this past weekend, where Jack Duchesne, one of the owners of the Empowerment Networking Organization, he says, before we come here, we're out there, we come into this life and then we leave. We're out here, we come into this life for a little bit of time. I don't care if it's for a few years or for 100 years or for any amount of time, and then we leave. So really, when it comes to, our relationships, and specifically when it comes to our relationships with money, It's one of those things where, like I said, it's not something that you're born with. There is no salesperson ever been born. There's no doctor that was ever born. There's no business owner that was ever born. These things are learned. And while we are here, it's important that we really do strengthen our relationships, just like with Whitney and what Don was saying as well. And also with Teresa here was saying that we strengthen our relationship with ourselves, but also that we also strengthen our relationship with money. And the reason being is because we can do so much more when we do that. Okay, when we are empowered ourselves, we are strengthened, when we can own what it is that we have within ourselves, we can also do the same thing when it comes to our finances, when it comes to also helping others. And so we can do so much more. And so that's one of the biggest things that I got from the quote there. The second quote that really stood out to me, especially like I said, what it is that I do. So if you all do not know, yes, I am associated with Alpha Omega Wealth, and I started my own agency under them, AKB Innovative Solutions. And yes, we are a full service financial planning firm. But one of the quotes as it relates to that is came from page 209. And so it says here, keep focused on the end goal to become self-reliant in your retirement years. And so why do I mention that? Well, ladies, so I've had the unfortunate pleasure of, going into or getting selected to go to serve in the United States Marine Corps, getting selected to go to Officer Candidate School up in Quantico, Virginia. And unfortunately, I ended up getting injured and had some other not so positive life events happen. And, having to depend on, whether I don't care if it's the government, I don't care if it's a relative, you do not want to put yourself in that situation. And so I was still in my 20s at that time. But I'm thinking about the people who are getting ready to retire, people who are in their later 60s or early 70s, and even beyond that, having to rely on, the government, Social Security. Ladies, I don't know if that's going to be here with where our national debt is, our 35 plus trillion dollars in debt that we are in. I don't know that we're going to be able to make good on those payments for Social Security. There are lots of people right now in this world they depend on that for their sole source of income, and you really don't want to put yourself in that scarcity, set, of when it comes to your financial mindset. You really do not want to put yourself in that position to where you're having to depend on that check or depending on a relative. And even if you are blessed to have relatives, also, what is that going to do to them? What is that going to do with that relationship between them? Is that going to put a strain on that? Is that going to burden them? Even if you're blessed to have children and grandchildren who can do it, you don't want to have to do it, if that makes sense. And so those are some of the biggest things that stuck out to me when reading this book. And like I said, yes, he is a financial planner, but it really wasn't written in the way of, for us insurance agents or financial planners or advisors or anybody who's in the financial expertise, realm or arena here. It was really written for people to really understand, hey, this is how, and the stories that he highlighted here, this wasn't people who came from money. This wasn't people who were generations upon generations upon generations who came from money. This was just everyday people that, like I talked about, who found a way to make it inside their sales company, found a way to make it in business, who started, like I said, from humble beginnings, but just talking about the human behavior that goes behind that. And so I really just wanted to part that with you when it comes to taking control of our financial life. And really, there's really only a few things that really came with that. As far as the things that helped me, and no, not only because I'm in the industry. I mean, yes, I may have my little biases here and there and everything, but no, but that really wasn't it. It was really understanding that number one, like I said, and just like Whitney and like Teresa said here, make sure that you have that love for yourself, that you believe that you can be financially free, that you can be debt free, that you can, have, assets, that you can have cash flowing assets, that you can have a cash flowing business. For those of us who obviously who are on the call who are business owners, that yes, that you can have these things, and that yes, you do deserve them, and also being able to help and empower other people to do the same thing. So those are really some of the biggest lessons. And even as painful as it was, obviously, of course, going through what I went through in the military and even the things that followed, using those lessons, not necessarily as just like, oh, I can't believe this happened to me, but no, how can I use this to empower me to take back my power, and then use that to catapult me into the success that I want, more so the financial success that I'm looking for, where I can sustain my livelihood, where I can sustain, that to come afterwards. And even when I don't have the ability to work anymore, how can I continue to carry that on and also show other people the same way? And so some of the tools that I've been able to use when it comes to taking back financial control, it's in things, and I mentioned this too on previous calls. It's in things where, things that I never would have thought would have even, impacted my financial life. So I started playing Robert Kiyosaki's board game, Cash Flow, the Cash Flow game. And, really it's through games and other lessons, things that we never thought would, oh, I can't believe I can learn from this, or I can learn from a kid, or I can learn from whoever. It was that for me that really just changed the way that I look at money, because really, even though it's a game, your personality, your who you are and how you see money, how you think about money, how you view it, like, oh, I don't think I don't want to share this. No, this is my deal. I don't want you taking advantage of this. That comes out, and really as you begin to see more of that in yourself, you begin to see like how that also translates into your personal life, your business life. And so that was one of the biggest ways that I've learned. Number one, not necessarily just how money works, but more so learning about myself, my relationship with myself to money, and how I see it and how I view it. And so really one of the things I began doing, especially when ladies would come and they would sometimes would get intimidated, I just started just hosting ladies cash flow games and just said, hey, let's break this down. Okay, it's okay. I understand. Yes, there was never a how money works 101 back in school. There was never, you may not have even, your parents may not have ever, been debt free ever for your entire childhood. Trust me, I was one of those kids who had parents, and still to this day, unfortunately, they are still in debt, and have one of them unfortunately has declared bankruptcy. And so just it's okay. They did not have the same, same tool sets and skill sets that I have been able to, to receive and develop, and seek for my own well-being, and also being able to help other people. And so it's really breaking that down to where ladies can understand it. And then we can get into, some of the other topics. Like, once you learn how to pay yourself first, once you learn how to flex that muscle, okay, once we learn how to budget, flex that muscle. Once we start learning how to do some of these things, then we can get to some of the other big things, with business and investing and all the other things and all the other asset classes that are out there, but first, there's some basic things that we do have to learn in order to be able to take financial control. So, understanding what debt is, what good debt is, what bad debt is, and learning how to budget, learning how to not only just for your personal, but also for your business too, because that's two separate things, personal finance, and then planning for your business finances. That's two separate things. And so it's really just, like I said, just going back down to the basics, and getting down to where people can understand it, to where it's simple, because it really is not this complicated thing that unfortunately the financial world over the last several decades plus has made it out to be. And so that's one of the biggest things, and learning to take financial control back for my life, for both my business and personal. That's been one of the biggest things. So I don't know if you want to turn this into, Whitney, like a kind of like a Q&A or afterwards or anything like that. But as I'm getting ready to wrap up here, but really just trying to get into more so like a conversation, so we can start having more of these kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so
Yes.
much. I'm so curious about the game. Is that something that you ever do virtually, or I'm just curious about it.
Honestly, when I had my surgery, and obviously I wasn't able to go anywhere, my group, we ended up, so it's an in-person game, kind of like Monopoly. So it's like we can do it as much as we can virtually. Obviously, they made an exception for me because I had cabin fever, and I was just stuck in on crutches, so I couldn't really do much there and that sort of thing. But yeah, but if you ever want to tune in, let me know. We can get you in. But yeah.
Um, I had another question, and then I'll let the other ladies chime in as well. But you mentioned good debt and bad debt, and I'm just curious how you define that and what the difference is there.
Yeah. Good question. So really, and honestly, of course, there'll be other financial gurus and entertainers and whoever else is out there who will probably disagree. And honestly, I probably would say there's really there, okay, yes, there's definitely a bad debt that everybody can definitely agree on. Obviously, of course, that can be anything from, from some personal loans, credit cards, and even, and I probably would say more so consumer debt. Like, if you're using debt, if you are leveraging debt to just go spend here, like if there's not a purpose behind this, if there's not, okay, I'm going to put this credit card down, or use part of this, or part of this line of credit here to go make this, to go make this purchase for my business that's going to yield back, more than what I'm putting down, then that is what I call good debt. But if you're just using, oh yeah, we're going shopping, oh yeah, we're going to restaurants, oh yeah, we're just going here, and there's no purpose behind it, that's what I would define as bad debt versus good debt. But if you're using it for a purpose, for your business or for real estate investing or for whatever it is that you're doing, that's going to yield cash flow back to you to where you can more than cover that debt, that's what I would define. I define like the difference between the two. Yeah.
Makes sense. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, when you're at a certain place with your credit cards, you're constantly getting this mail all the time and people calling you all the time, wanting to help you get out of debt. And I'm getting these calls saying that there is this relief debt, whatever fund, and you don't have to pay it back. And I always call it BS because I don't think it's true. And why are you recording this? Why aren't you calling me, face to face and stuff like that? So if you have credit card debt, is there a place or a resource that you can go to where you can actually lower your interest payments?
No,
So you can pay it off,
mhm.
maybe combined, and then pay it off even faster, but with less interest.
Right, right, right. That is a very good question. There are people in my network who I do have who do things like that in terms of either they lower the interest, or they're able to kind of get rid of some of the debt too. So yeah, that we can definitely talk more about that too offline. But yeah, no, there are other tools, other strategies that you can use. I mean, even with what it is that we use, like we use so obviously, of course, what I do is more so on the insurance and investing side of things, but we use part of that as a debt strategy to be able to, so instead of paying like the 20+%, 18% interest here and there, why don't you just pay 3% interest using this, use that and pay off all of that, and then reroute whatever you were paying there, reroute that back into your own system that you own and control. So there's many different tools and strategies that we can use, but specifically for that, for
Hmm.
low interest, there's other people out there in my network who do that. But we use certain tools within the products that we have for that purpose. Yeah.
I knew there was something.
Yeah, there's always a solution. Trust me. For me, there's always a way. There's always a way.
So I think
Yeah.
that goes with my question. I'm highly debt adverse. And so like I have no debt or refuse to go in debt, which therefore when you own a business can be very challenging because you can't necessarily afford everything that you need. And so and like I just think about the fact like, okay, this costs $5,000, but once I start paying minimum payments on a credit card or something or on a loan, this $5,000 is going to cost me $25,000 because of all of the, accrued
Yeah.
interest.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'm not doing that. So like I'm very limited by my frugality. So I'm like the opposite, I think, of most, where I just won't spend a cent. And so I need to get past that because I'm never going to get where I need to be as a result of that. But you
Yeah.
were just talking about I am a big investor, so I've got kind of shit everywhere. So I'm like, but I don't know how to use it. Right. And so how do you, one, break past this belief system that like all debt's bad? And then two, like what are some other resources that aren't a typical loan or a typical credit card to then almost have debt to yourself? Like at one point in my life, eons ago, I took a loan against my 401k and then within a year paid it all back. Right.
Mhm.
But I really didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I was young and dumb and was like, do what? Okay, sure, I'll do that. It's not an actual, all right, whatever, sure, sounds nice. I really know what I was doing. But yeah, so I want to know more about that.
Yeah, no, very, very good question. I was the same way. I used to think, debt was all bad, everything was bad, until I understood. And this actually came from another book. And actually, how I got into the industry was Becoming Your Own Banker by Nelson Nash. So this is actually a part of the tools that we use in my financial firm. And the reason why my company was founded was because of that. But really, yeah, I used to think the same way. Yeah, debt is bad, loans are bad, ill. I don't do credit cards. I probably didn't have my first credit card until I think 3, 4 years ago. No,
Wow.
maybe 2.5 years ago, I think. somewhere between 2.5 to 3 years ago. Because yeah, I was under that same, again, that notion, again, the things that we are not taught about money, whether it's in school, and if we are taught about it, it's usually the wrong thing, usually the wrong information. But really, what this book teaches is that you finance everything that you buy. You either give up interest that you could have otherwise earned in your own system, or you end up paying it to somebody else. And so I don't care. Obviously, of course, even if you do pay cash for everything, you are still losing. You are still missing out on the interest that you could have otherwise earned and pretty much put back into your own system. So yeah, so like I said, so we can definitely talk more offline about this. So if you don't, or if you haven't already read this, and yes, for those who
Look
hate
it
to
up.
read, for those who hate to read, read actual books. Yeah, it is on Audible. We got you guys. We got you. It's a short read.
Hey, that's still reading.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's not
Not really.
just
It's listening, but
you
I'm
don't
a
have
big
the book
audio.
smell. The book smell. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yes, but no, Teresa, no, I'm right there with you. So this is still, like I said, this is the reason why I got into this industry, the reason why I got into what it is that I'm doing now. And like I said, coming up with all these different strategies is because of this. And like I said, because of, being financially devastated after getting out of the military, being homeless and just really just wanted to understand, like I really want to get this. And as soon as I get this, I'm gonna go give it to some other people too who really want to have a better relationship. Obviously, of course, with themselves first, and then of course with money, and then being able to attract that more into their life by doing just changing, just tweaking certain things. Like this is not hard stuff that we're talking about. Like you have to change everything. Like we are not talking about that kind of thing. We're not talking about doing a complete 180. It's just really being open to learning new concepts and really being open to learning like new ideas and new ideas that can serve you in what it is that you're doing. So I don't care if it's in your personal life or in your business life, things that can serve you and make and pretty much make your life better. So
I would suspect anybody who struggles, like any one of my clients who struggles with their own self-worth, is going to have a serious issue believing they deserve the level of wealth that they actually
no,
do. So I suspect every one of my clients would go to you and every one of your clients would go to me just because they
yes,
probably struggle
yeah.
with this core
There's going to be a lot
lack,
of overlap here, guys. Yeah.
right? Because if you don't believe you're worthy, that's like all over your world. It's not even just about your body. It's also about finances.
Yeah, but see, and that's the crazy thing. Like, it spills over into all of that. It spills over into the relationships, into your own
Hmm.
image, into
All of it.
it. No, this covers everything. So, like I said, I see a lot of this kind of going back and forth with all of us here, and so yeah, this is all over. So, unfortunately, the
Yeah.
financial piece just happens to be kind of in our faces all the time. With oh, did you hear on the news about this person? And did you hear on the that just happens to just kind of be in our faces all the time, all day. But yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. And it's like life or death. If you lose a partner, it's not as life and death as if you have no money and you're broke or stuck. I mean, it's kind of like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? We need certain things taken care of first before we can seek the higher levels.
right, right, absolutely. And yeah, and just being able to take care of, number one, obviously, of course, the basic needs first, and then being able to take, what you started from your foundation and being able to grow from there. Because yeah, like it's a world of difference. And like I said, it wasn't really until, like I said, going through that experience, just being just being all over the place, like, oh my God, is there anybody out there that can help me kind of thing. It really wasn't until going through that and really, in that also, and learning to ask for help, too. And for a lot of us women, that just seems to be a common thing. And I don't care whether it's in money, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in, help with like our weight and our shape. It's a lot of that. Just being courageous enough to just ask for help. Like, hey, I don't get this. I'm willing to put my ego aside and just get the help I need. And maybe I won't necessarily get all the answers from you, but at least to get started and just get that process moving and going. So that's been like the biggest thing. That's actually what that book covered. John's book, this one right here covered. Because there will be clients who, like, yeah, because like we can try to, encourage, try to coach and everything like that for all of our industries, but it's like they do have to you know, make that, make that progress or step. That makes sense. So
One of the things you were just saying is about women, what I find out is they don't like to tell other people like if I worked on their image and they look great and somebody goes, "Oh, you look great. What happened?" They're not going to tell anybody where they got help. Why would they want to do that? Because it's embarrassing. And I think that's so sad. I think it's so sad that we don't share what we know and we
Right.
don't share other people with other people because
Right.
why are we hiding it? Why do we hide this?
Hmm.
Ego.
It's because of shame, ego, all that. Yeah, you're
Hmm.
right. And I
Yeah.
think it's sad because so many people, we could work with so many different people out there, but if we're not going to be shared, how are they going to know you're out there?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
No.
mean, I don't care. Like you're talking about finance, and Whitney talks about dating. Well, I'm sure you come up with this too, Whitney, for many reasons that nobody wants to talk about that they need a dating coach because I have a hard time finding a date. I
Yeah,
mean, that's the
well,
last thing they're going to want to say.
what I think is I think that everybody knows somebody that's struggling in their love life. Like if you think about it,
Hmm.
you know somebody who's going through a divorce or struggling to meet someone, but you feel embarrassed to tell them, "Hey, you really need help. You should call this person." So that's something that I've been working on in my messaging. Like
Mhm.
everybody needs help. We all do. So it's not something that
Especially
someone should
nowadays.
think about.
Dating is
I don't.
hard
Nowadays.
nowadays.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So a quick
Swipe
aside with
right,
me,
Oh my
swipe left.
right? And
God.
like
Recorded.
all the lies and all the now all these terms, I don't even know what they are. My girlfriend was on all these things and like she's telling me these terms. I'm like, I don't know what that means. Thank God. But anyway,
Like,
Whitney, just a
yeah,
quick aside, but like, do you only work with straight couples or do you work with LGBTQ ABCDEF as well?
I
ABCD.
I can work with anyone. I
Okay.
can work with anyone. When I do my one-on-one coaching, it's whatever that person needs. So I've worked with men, women, gay, straight, all of that.
How
Awesome.
about
Just
age
because
group?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
age group. That's
I'll
good too.
from I think my youngest client yet was 24 and my oldest was 72. So it doesn't
Ooh.
matter about age.
My girlfriend, she's transitioning into the LGBTQ, and so she's struggling, and she's with somebody for the minute, but she's always with somebody for a minute. So I'm like, girl, you need help. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I want to be able to refer you, but I want to make sure you worked with all level, all kinds of love. So
Yes, and I would be more than happy to help. But if for any reason I'm not the best person, I know a lot of other coaches. I know coaches that work specifically with men to develop their masculinity and all kinds of different people. So if I have a call with someone and I think that they'd be a better fit for someone else, I'll make sure to connect them with that person too.
isn't that the benefit of knowing so many people in your own industry? Nobody's competition,
Right.
they're help. They're just
Yeah.
complimentary of
Right.
like,
Yeah.
Right.
I just referred like a client that I had. I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm the right solution. So I grabbed another weight loss coach and was like, I think she's a better solution for you. If not, come back.
Mhm.
But I go that way because I'm not helping. So yeah, I love that.
And I
That
offer a referral bonus too. So whatever service they
Nice.
sign up for to start with, you get a percentage also. So hey, another opportunity to make some money.
Woohoo.
There you
that
go.
see,
There you
and that's
go.
ladies, like I love like what just happened here because honestly, like, okay, so who here has ever played the game Monopoly?
Oh yeah.
Anybody? Okay, okay.
Boring.
Yeah, exactly.
I
But
hate games.
Monopoly, Monopoly, like it teaches you to bankrupt your family and friends. Okay,
Yeah.
cash flow, it teaches you to work together. It teaches you like, hey, you can get what you need, you can get what you need, and we can serve everybody. Like everybody can get what they need here in the community. And again, like I said, like we think that it's like, oh yeah, it's a money game. Like, no, there are other things like negotiating, like learning how we can go in, like learning how we can partner together, learning how we can collaborate and cooperate with one another to where we can all get what we need. Again,
And
something
that's
you don't
not
learn in
taught
money.
either.
Exactly.
It's right. Like
Exactly.
there's all these like I notice these kids all have to work in groups, but they're never first taught how to work in a group. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, you are trying to make enemies out of these children, and children are already kind of evil. Like, can you just teach them how to get along first and how to do that? Like, even with like, I remember in a negotiations class, they were talking about like these twins that both were fighting over an orange, and they were like, me, 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 me. And the dad finally walked over and went, "What do you want it for?" And she's like, "Well, I need the peel to bake." And the other one's like, "Well, I want a snack." And so he peeled the orange, gave the peel to the one, gave the orange to the other, and you're like, "Okay, you both got what you wanted." It didn't have to be a win-lose. And I'm like, can't we tell stories like that and teach everybody to get along? But
Hmm.
that game, why is that game not popular? Why is Monopoly popular?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys know the story of Monopoly and how it came into existence?
I
I
feel like
know.
I've heard it, but I don't remember.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
might not remember that well, but it was made by a woman that was trying to show the evils of capitalism. And she and it was actually meant to be like this lesson, and somebody stole it from her, and then now it's become like yay, let's celebrate
Yeah,
bankrupting
let's
everyone
follow each
else.
other
And
here. Yeah. So
Yeah.
everything that we need to make society work, we are not taught. So everything everything that we are taught to, to take from one another, to just, to bash each other. Yeah, we got all that. But everything that we need to really make us all work and work better, for us to, like, empower ourselves better and also other people, it's, again, it's going to take more things just like this. And even the 2.5 day training that I went through over the weekend, we had pretty much played a similar game. It was I'll just call it a give and take game. We were 1 in 6. My entire cohort, if you will, was 1 of 6. In the 18 years that Jack Duchesne has been teaching that game, that setup, we were 1 in 6 of the givers. Every other
Mm.
game were takers. And it's like we teach, or we try to teach win-win. Like, you can win. And I'm not talking about participation trophy win, but no, like, again, you can get what you need, I can get what I need, and we can serve the entire community. Like, everybody can get what they need. But it's just like that mindset. Like, we say, yeah, win-win, but it's like, no, no, no. How is that showing up in my life, and to myself, with my relationships, with my relationship to money? How is that translating out into everything else? And so, I was honored to be 1 of 6, out of the entire 18 years that he's been teaching that course, every single, every single, month and everything. But just thinking about just where we are as, just humanity, not even just as women, but just where we are, like where we are as a nation, where we are in the world, just, this give and take. And there's so much of that, and how that shows up in our lives. And again, of course, me being in the financial industry, it really shows. Like, when you are in the red, it really shows. And it's like, okay, we gotta backtrack here. We gotta, go back to, again, learning some basic things that we should have been taught, and just kind of going from there, taking it from there.
Ladies, I feel like we need the four of us to make like a virtual retreat where, we're talking about how do we develop the self-love for the body so that way we can get imaged by Dawn and feel like the shit when we look in the mirror, and then go figure out how to get a
Like,
date,
Don.
and then figure out how to get our financial shit together. So the date doesn't necessarily have to pay for it, but we can, and we know whether I can love you but not be dependent on you. And it is all like all of this stuff makes a well-rounded human.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like we all like complement each other. Like, let's go on the road.
Mhm.
Let's just do it,
Yes.
ladies. Come on. This is a hell of a mastermind. Let's just
I love it.
mastermind this shit.
Yeah,
We
there you
got this.
go.
yeah, it's
Right?
true. We should talk about this.
We
Yes.
should.
What
Yes.
comes up for me in all of this too is so many women put these blocks up. Like, I can't do that. I don't want to get my image taken care of because I want to lose 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds before I do that. Well, when is that going to happen? So they won't go to Teresa because, well, they might go to her and then all of a sudden that doesn't happen, or they put up a block as, well, what do I have to do? And then they don't succeed because they're not willing to work to get there. Or the money blocks is like, I can't afford you. I can't afford you. I can't afford you. But I really want to fall in love, but I can't afford to do that. I really want to lose weight, but I can't afford to do that. I really need a good image so I can get a new job or up my game, but I can't afford that. I can't afford a financial advisor because I have to pay you to get my finances together. So, do you see where I'm going? This is
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
do we get rid of this block from everybody? For most people, especially women in general. And I'm not talking about women that are making 100 grand a year or over. I'm talking about women in general, that even women at that level
Right.
still have money blocks.
Yeah.
They'll pay for this,
Yep.
buy a brand new car, a brand new house, but they won't take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yep.
I don't even know, is it the coach purse? They'll walk in and have a Starbucks every day, but they can't afford you. And I'm like, how much did your purse cost?
Yeah,
Every month.
And by the
it's
way,
priorities.
And by the way, whatever your purse costs, can you afford to put that much money inside the purse? Like
Right.
if
Oh, that's true.
yeah, hey,
Right.
I'm happy you have $5,000 bag, but can you put 5 grand in your purse?
I do feel like everybody can come at something from this position of victim or hero.
Hmm.
And so a lot of it is asking the questions that have them recognizing the role they're choosing. That's what I have found, right? Because if you ask the questions where they hear themselves and like, all right, I sound like a schmo, right? They can work because it's got to be their idea. But right then there's a woman I was talking to yesterday. I need you so badly. In fact, every time you talk, I get the tingles like I know I need you. But
Well, there's that butt word.
right. And so, and I'm just like, so I can tell you right now, right there is a block. You don't want you to succeed.
Right.
I suggest you go drive in silence to your next function and figure out why. Why are you so terrified to feel good about yourself? Because that's why you're not signing up. And then come talk to me. I'm just like, go think because I cannot help you as long as this is in my way. And you're the only one doing this when you were like, I'm giving you tingles and I'm everything you need, and this is the perfect solution. And I'm like, okay, well, go think this through because the only block is you.
Yeah, yeah.
She
That is
call you
something.
today?
No, not yet.
She didn't think about it.
I love it.
Yeah. And that's it. And I'm like, well, and the problem is I don't actually want that client because
Right,
she is not going to do the work. And that makes me look bad.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Right. And so I'm just like, but no doubt she will be my client.
Yeah.
In
She'll come back.
three
Yeah.
to 9 months, because that's usually the turnaround time because of my work's the vulnerable, well, what we all do vulnerable work. I find people will take my card and they'll be like, do you remember me? We met a year ago. And I'm like, no,
Yeah,
I don't
they
remember
have
you.
to amp themselves up to be ready for it. I mean,
Right.
I've
Yeah.
been there. Haven't you all been there at some point?
Yes.
Like, I'm the kind of person that when I'm all in, I'm all in. But sometimes
Yep.
I'm like, I'm not going to be all in until like 4 months from now. But then once I'm in, I'm all in.
All in. Well, there's that change curve, and we all go through it, right? The speed of which we go through it is based on ourselves, our decision, what it is we're looking at. But I can always tell, like, okay, you're in the pre-preparation stage. Like, you're not even you're 6 months away from making this decision. But I'm gonna put something in your head
Hmm.
that's just gonna niggle and annoy you enough to think and move yourself through the curve.
Yeah. No, that's big. And you know, ladies, y'all hit it right on the head too. You're like having to be ready for it. Because honestly, if you would have asked me 2.5 years ago, would I be ready to do what it is I'm doing now? I would have told you no. Like, I mean, just especially with everything that had happened and everything that happened afterwards. No, I was just not in, mentally, spiritually, physically. I was still technically injured. So no, I definitely would not have been in the space too. So yeah, let people go through their stuff. And then when they come back, okay, just like what he said, all in, ready to go, ready to jump in and really to be like your next success story. Because I mean, after all, that is what we're looking for. I mean, yes, of course, as entrepreneurs, yes, we're definitely looking to get paid too, but we're also looking for transformations. We're also looking to make those things. I mean, not just for our own lives, but also for other people too, to come into our community, to come into what it is that we have to offer, and really make that transformation for them too. So yeah, so letting people go through their thing, like let the light bulbs go off, like, oh yeah, that's right. I remember Whitney does. Oh yeah, right. Don does. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. The Teresa, she does this. So like let those things, do what they do.
Yeah,
As,
you gotta find a lot of light bulbs.
yes. Ah, going off like
Yeah.
clockwork. Yes. Yes.
Right.
And I'm starting to see
Thank
that
you.
too. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Ashley. I'm gonna close out the recording now and we can continue to have our conversation. Good stuff.